Hello and welcome to my review of Alita Battle Angel. This movie was directed by Robert Rodriguez and produced by James Cameron. Even though, yeah, you saw James Cameron name everywhere, it is produced by him, kind of like how Mortal Engines was only produced by Peter Jackson. Their names are there just to kind of amp the film up a little bit. But this is based on a manga series. I have not read that series, so this review will be based solely upon the film. So if you're looking between accuracies of the manga and the actual movie, please go find an expert. Find someone that's written an article that really enjoys the manga, that has really captured it and like understands it, and then go from there if you're a fan of it and want to make sure that it's accurate. Otherwise, for everyone else who's just like, I want to know what the big-eyed girl movie is all about, then you're in the right spot. So this movie is about Alita, played by Rosa Salazar, if I pronounced that correctly. And she falls from this floating sky. Oh no, already we're starting off pretty grandeur. Falls from the sky. It's only her brain, human brain, which is still fine and dandy, and like a robot kind of half thingy. And then she gets built up by Christoph Waltz, who I love in this film. Just does a great job against acting probably just green screens and green bodysuits and just maybe sometimes just absolutely nothing. He does a great job. And he builds her up into like a fully cyborg suit kind of thing. But her brain is still human. That is played up a lot. And it's just this world where cyborgs and humans live together on this non-floating city, just the city below the floating city, which kind of seems like a dangerous thing, you know, if the floating city ever dropped. Anyway, and the story's about her growing of learning about her past, which she can't remember, and just learning this new world to her, at least, through the eyes of many different characters who have lived in this and grown in this. Because this city, this way of life, has been this way for about 300 years from the fall, what they call it. And that's not a spoiler in the first 2 seconds of the film. It's 300 years after the fall. And you're like, what the frack is the fall? Well, that's one of the many questions that get answered, but only really bring up a bajillion more questions. So there's a lot going on in this film. I have a list to go off of here. Cyborgs, we already talked about that. Aliens, didn't talk about that. Kind of War of the Worlds kind of situation going on. RoboCop police robots was what I wrote down, but I just meant those big-ass guys from RoboCop, the original and the remake. Dodgeball and skates with weapons. Sky Cities, human on robot love, teen angst, black market arms dealers, that's a pun, and so much more. There's a lot going on in this film. And that's what's kind of hard to judge this as a film and not the manga. I gotta assume the manga goes into greater detail, answers a lot more questions, or makes it to where I don't need to know the answer to the question. I just need to know, you know, how it affects our character's journey. And that would make sense. You know, I don't have to have the answers. I just want it portrayed in a way that it doesn't make me feel like I didn't get much out of the film when the questions aren't answered. For instance, the classic example would be Inception. I want to know the answer of the spinning top at the very end, but I also don't need to know the answer. Like, it's okay that I don't know that answer. Other people might, oh, frack, yeah, I need that answer. But for me, since I had such a journey with Leo DiCaprio's character during the film, that I don't necessarily need to know the answer. But that doesn't come across the screen really well in Alita. The movie, not the girl. But overall, like, visually, yes, it is stunning, but it runs into the problem that, you know, it is comparable to Avatar because it's the same producer, James Cameron's involved. I'm not sure if it's like the same companies, but the style's very similar, and it's really well rendered. And I went and saw it in IMAX, Real D, whatever, with the glasses that like encompass like half your brain and head and eyes, and just, it's massive and it looks great. But the problem is that Avatar looks so beautiful when you first saw it in the theaters, because it was an alien planet, it was based on nature, and it was beautiful colors. Those are 3 really big differences between Alita's situation, where her world is a pile of shit, really. It's just a crappy town below a really cool, brilliant looking city, but we don't see that up close, we just see it from afar. and just we only get the underground dirt and roughness and maimed pieces of buildings and just rubble and kind of just wear and tear of like a third world country almost. And yeah, it looks good, but the problem is, well, it's just you can only polish a turd for so much, and you know that's just part of the setting, and I know they can't change it, but it's just something to point out that yes, everyone's saying it looks beautiful, but there's only a couple scenes where you're not in that crappy city where you can actually really appreciate views. And most of the time, half the view that's really appreciative is half the destructed city. Like, it's not really destroyed, it just looks really shitty. And this floating city right above it. And when they're in comparison and contrasting, like at the same time, yes, it looks beautiful. And there's a couple scenes out in nature that look beautiful. And the battle scenes, even in the city, and then in this that dodgeball death thing with rollerblades that I talked about, that actually has a name in the film, but you know you can just learn it there and kind of experience that all together. But those, yeah, they look great. Action scenes look great, and they're well choreographed, and it slows down when you know our human brains wouldn't be able to comprehend how fast they're going because the robots look like they go a lot faster, and that's done on purpose because they're enhanced. So it's slowed down in the right moments, but it's actually sped up also in the right moments. So if you're focusing on Waltz's character in the scene, the action looks like it's kind of going a little bit faster. But once we focus on Alita during a battle scene, it might go a little bit slow, just so we can see how she analyzes stuff and fights and goes in slow motion. And in the trailers, there's a couple scenes where she's spinning through like these metal arms, like fingers that are like spinning around. You saw the trailer, and that's slowed down for purposeful, just so we can see how she does it. And I really enjoy that. Like, major kudos for that. They balance that really well. But the problem for this film stems from just the story. Just there's so much going on, but also not really. There's a lot of times where I was just like, you know, I'm kind of bored here. I know we have to set up a lot of stuff, and I know there's going to be sequels, just because you know they probably didn't get the entire manga series done in one movie. But frack, there's so much going on. I'll go lightly into spoilers here. Not there's a lot of spoilers though. I mean, yes, there is, but no, there isn't. But yes, there is. I don't know. Just from here on out, just this is on your own terms. But so I said aliens. There's people from Mars, but you don't really see them, and that was the cause of the fall, a war with Martians versus Earth, and so that's kind of where I got the War of the Worlds kind of thing going on, and that's how this last floating city is the last floating city. Because apparently there's just all bunch of floating cities. So that doesn't answer the question of floating cities, or why there's cities directly below the floating cities. But it's a thing. But there used to be more of them. So it doesn't really answer questions. It just brings you more questions. And there's spaceships, and there's Alita is somehow attached to the Martians, but the Martians use German words of combat, which is weird. At least I assume they're German descent, the way that Waltz was saying them, since I don't know, after watching Inglourious Basterds, he looks like he's flawless German, and he said this flawlessly too, and it just sounded like a German pronunciation that you'd see in like COD World War II Zombies or something. Alita has attachment there, and she is Martian, but she's still an Earthling, but she has a human brain, and sometimes things were answered with how the bodies work and how brains work, and holy frack, I just don't know, man. There's so much going on. There's so many things that could have been better. And again, I think it would have been better if I read the manga and like knew a lot more about the background. But if it's a film, and you know, I'm assuming most of the audience hasn't read the book and never will, then you gotta explain better what's going on in the film. I'm not talking just heavy exposition. Show us. There's a lot of scenes that you could have nixed out in this film for not necessarily heavy exposition, like I said, but something like in the background that shows, I don't know, maybe like the purpose of the floating city, or like other people that live up there. Because otherwise, we only know one person is up there, and it's kind of like the main villain. But otherwise, it doesn't show other people up there. So I don't know if like maybe they have like an Elysium kind of thing going on, where it's this high class rich society and the poor class society in the bottom. But it's never specifically stated, because in the movie it says, you know, money can't get you up there. So if it's not money, then what the frack? I can just ramble on for days about how the plot doesn't really get to me. I can get Alita's character and her motivations and how she develops with the film. And like I said, I really like Waltz's character. And the action's very cool. I was very much entertained during those scenes. And I was fairly entertained just to see where it was going, even though you can kind of guess where most of it was going. There's a couple of audience subversions, or whatever that saying is called, where we expect something to happen, but then the unexpected happens. Like, Alita does lose a fight, and it's very unexpected, because it's kind of set up like she's OP as shit, and then she isn't in one scene, you're like, oh gosh. But then she turns back into OP, so it doesn't really matter. But it is like that subversion, like, oh shit, that actually did happen a couple of times, and there's a couple of death fake outs, and then there's like mind takeover, kind of like Professor X in this film too. I forgot about that. Oh god, there's so much going on in this film. I don't know. It's entertaining. It's worth a matinee, I think. If you can get past... I know some people really can't get past how Alita looks. If you can get past that, I think you would be entertained, because, like I said, it does look phenomenal during multiple scenes. Not all of it, because it is in a dusty, dirty city. But those beautiful scenes and the action sequences, and there's a couple lessons to be learned. But there's also weird robot-human relationship stuff that if you're uncomfortable with that, then don't go see it. But yeah, it's worth the matinee. I don't think it's worth IMAX. I enjoyed Mission Impossible Fallout IMAX way more than I did Alita's IMAX. And I think that could just be, you know, to each his own. Maybe you really want to see this in IMAX, then go right ahead. It's going to be worth the money then if you want to. Otherwise, I wouldn't. Yeah, maybe a 3D one if you could, or if you have a pass, go ahead and use it for it. It's fine and dandy. Otherwise, I think I'd only give this film... Yikes. I want to say 5 or 6 out of 10, because the story really did bug me, and how it was set up for sequels bugged me, and just a lot of things that weren't led to fruition, to a concisive ending that felt satisfying for me. It just made me feel like, oh, I gotta wait for the next one. And kind of like Fantastic Beasts, well, maybe not as harsh as Fantastic Beasts kind of dropped off, but, you know, the first Fantastic Beasts, I enjoyed it. I was like, okay, I'm invested, I'll keep on watching the rest of the series. And the second one came out, I was like, ugh, god, that was worse than the first one. I'll still finish it out. So if Alita keeps on coming out with sequels, I'll finish it out, because I was still entertained and it still looked good. But not if it takes as long as it took Avatar 2 to get the ground running. Maybe I won't, but if you like cool visuals, or if you like seeing how culture of a manga series can go into American film industry and really be a big budget thing, then go right ahead. If you like Cameron's work or Rodriguez's work, go ahead. If you like Waltz, go right ahead. Salazar, Jennifer Connelly, okay, maybe not Jennifer Connelly's part, but everything else, then it's worth it. But just with a grain of salt, go into it. And that's it for me. Sorry about this long review, but it's kind of a big topic right now. So I just thought, spit it all out. But have you seen it? Let me know down in the comments down below if you liked it, hated it, it looked cool, but you know, let me know. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you want to subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Or the best thing you can do for the channel, tell a friend about it. Let someone know. Be like, hey, I saw this guy on the internet. Not too bad, very informative. Or he's kind of shit. Watch it and laugh at him. Either way, it's fine. And thanks you all for watching. My name's Clark Addison, and I review entertainment because I care. I'll see you guys next time.